Okay, today we're going to talk about a mineral that's kind of hiding in plain sight. It's this absolute powerhouse that fuels our bodies in countless ways. But, most of us barely give it a second thought. So let's dive in and uncover the science behind one of your body's most crucial, yet totally unsung heroes zinc.
So let's start with a little bit of a puzzle. Picture this. There's a tiny element that is so vital. It's a key player in over 300 different enzyme reactions, but your body has absolutely no way to store it. None. That means you need a constant, daily supply just to keep the whole system running smoothly. The answer, of course, is zinc.
And just how important is it? Well, if you look at the leaderboard of trace minerals in your body, zinc comes in at number 2, right behind iron. That really puts its importance into perspective, doesn't it? This isn't some minor character, it's a fundamental piece of our biology. What's just amazing is that zinc isn't tucked away in one specific place. No, it's found in literally every single cell in your body, from your brain all the way to your bones. I think the best way to describe it is as a master regulator, like a tiny manager making sure hundreds of critical processes happen correctly and right on schedule. So that brings us to our first section here. If zinc were, say, applying for a job inside your body, what would its resume even look like? Let's take a look at its incredibly impressive list of responsibilities.
We can pretty much break its job down into 3 core functions. First, it's catalytic, meaning it's the spark plug for reactions involving over 300 enzymes. Second, it's structural. Think of it like a scaffold that stabilizes the proteins that turn our genes on and off. And finally, it's regulatory. And get this, it directly influences how about 10% of our entire genetic code is expressed. The scale of its influence is just massive.
And these big, scientific-sounding functions, they translate directly into things we experience every single day. Zinc is the power behind your immune system, helping it fight off invaders. It's essential for building DNA and proteins, for healing wounds, and for regulating key hormones like insulin. You ever wonder why a zinc lozenge can help when you're sick? Or why not having enough can mess with your sense of taste and smell? Well, this is why. But what happens when this critical worker just doesn't show up for its shift? Let's move on and see what happens when the system starts running low on zinc, a problem that is way more common than you might think. Because zinc is literally everywhere, the signs of a shortfall can be pretty vague and affect the whole body. You might see things like getting sick all the time, or cuts that just take forever to heal, or maybe some skin problems. For kids, it can even lead to delayed growth. The symptoms are so general that a deficiency can be really tough to pinpoint. Now, here's what's really interesting. A deficiency can happen even if you think you're eating a super healthy diet. A lot of plant-based foods, like beans and grains, they contain these compounds called phytates. And these phytates can actually grab onto zinc in your gut and prevent your body from absorbing it, making it a real challenge to get enough usable zinc. But here is the crazy paradox. While too little zinc is a problem, too much is also a big problem. It's fascinating, isn't it? Both extremes, not enough and way too much, can lead to a messed up immune system. It really is a delicate balancing act, which, well, it sets us up perfectly for our next section. So let's flip the coin and explore the other side. What happens when the system just overflows with zinc? While it's definitely less common than being deficient, zinc toxicity carries its own set of pretty serious risks. Now, I want to be really clear here. It is almost impossible to get too much zinc from food alone. Your body has these amazing built-in systems to regulate how much it absorbs. The real danger comes from taking high-dose supplements over a long period of time without any guidance, which can just completely overwhelm those natural checks and balances. And here is the wild biochemical drama behind it all. When you take way too much zinc, your intestinal cells start producing a special protein to handle the overload. But here's the twist. This protein actually likes to bind with copper even more than it likes to bind with zinc. So it latches onto all the copper from your diet so tightly that your body can't absorb it, which then leads to a copper deficiency and problems like anemia. Just crazy. So this all brings us to the most important question, right? How do we avoid these extremes of too little or too much? Let's talk about how to strike that perfect balance, how to find that Goldilocks zone for zinc. So what does that zone actually look like? Well, health authorities give us some pretty solid recommendations. It's about 11 milligrams per day for adult men and 8 for women. And as you can see, needs are a little higher during pregnancy and lactation. These are fantastic targets to aim for with your daily diet. Okay, but what about the ceiling? What's the upper limit?
The tolerable upper intake level for adults is 25 milligrams per day, and that's from all sources combined, food and any supplements you might be taking. Going past this amount long-term is what can start to cause those toxicity issues we just talked about.
Ultimately, it all comes back to this one key concept: homeostasis. It's the scientific term for your body's effort to keep everything in a stable, balanced state. For zinc, keeping your levels in that just right zone is absolutely critical for your overall health. It is not about more being better. It's about balance being everything.
And that really leaves us with a final question to think about. In a world that so often tells us that more is better, more vitamins, more supplements, more of everything, how can we shift our focus to seeking balance instead? When it comes to something like zinc, that question isn't just philosophical, it's absolutely fundamental to our health.